Hi, Michael Dixon from P-Optic Recordings, LatheCuts.com, RecordLatheParts.com, and MobileVinylRecorders.com. I do a lot of stuff with vinyl record cutters. I restore the 1940s cutting equipment. I cut records at parties and events, do recording booths. I run a record label. I also do short runs for bands. But today I'm going to talk to you about some of the weird formats that I've done over the years. I made records on laser discs, cymbals, mirrors, plastic picnic plates, CDs to play on your turntable and your CD player, all kinds of weird stuff. And I'm just going to give you sort of a real, I'd say quick, but it's going to take a while because there's 100 releases here of some of my favorites. So I'm going to start with laser discs. So if you remember, laser discs were a video format before DVDs. I cut grooves onto the top of this laser disc and we hand painted all of the different labels. It's a Christmas record for a band called Dr. Dog, and we used the same covers, but we just painted Santa hats or candy canes or whatever onto the characters. So each one was handmade, and this is, as far as I know, the world's first and only zero waste record. All of the paint, all of the wrapping paper, all of the laser discs were all either garage sale items or dumpstered. And in fact, we didn't even use any electricity to make these. I took my machines down to a solar powered bar here in town called Sky Bar and used their solar power grid. So absolutely nothing new was used to make this. No resources whatsoever. Another laser disc that I did was for a band called Salesman, and we die cut and then glued a transparency in there to make it look like a coin. Okay. So another one of the things that I'm kind of well known for are called Eulerian circles. You'll see that they've got multiple holes and have different tracks. Most of these, the grooves don't overlap, they just look like they do. But these were a couple that I did in collaboration with Joyful Noise Records. That's got 6 sides to it. Here's one I did for a band called Dome, which is Money Mark from the Beastie Boys and Patrick Keeler from the Raconteurs. Here's one that I did for the Flaming Lips. Here's one I did for my bass hero, Mike Watt. It's got 3 individual tracks. Here's one that I did for a band called Space Face, called Up in the Clouds. I try to put conceptual stuff into these as much as possible. Here were some that I did for the University of Arizona Planetarium, did a space art show. So artists were commissioned to make art based on space. So I downloaded some of the open source audio from NASA. This was the sound of solar flares and solar radiation. This one was galactic whistlers. This was for proton whistlers. And then this one here was cyclotron emissions. I only made, I think, 10 of each of these, though. Let's see. So, and I have a bunch of different ones that are that I'm just looking for a reason to, or a project to make with them. Here was the first one that I did. It's American Monoxide, Fucked Up Sounds from a Haunted World. And this one does actually overlap. I don't know how well you can see it. All these are on my site, by the way, michaeldixonvinylart.com. But this one does overlap a little bit, and it makes a chirp every time it comes around. And the artist, Dimitri Manos, actually sampled that, used it as a drum machine, and tried to make music. It's an experimental noise record that fit that chirp and that beat. Here's a couple other ones that I haven't. This one is ridiculous and just has too many overlaps, but it's really cool looking. Here's another one with way too many overlaps, but maybe one day I'll figure out a way to make that into a useful one. And here are the humble beginnings of the Eulerian circles. My whole thing is it's not a fuck up, it's a feature. And these discs, when my assistant drilled the center hole, he drilled it too big. They were too sloppy and they weren't useful for actually cutting records anymore. But rather than throw them all away, I thought, well, if I drill a hole next to it, at least I can use some of it for testing. And then I saw it looked really cool. And I was like, oh, I'll put another hole on the other side. And that's where this one came from. And from there, I just started drilling all kinds of holes and seeing what they looked like and making patterns. Another one that I've done that I used to do quite a few of were plastic picnic plates. These are just picnic plates that you buy from Safeway. And I cut the rim off, punch a hole in the center, cut grooves onto it. This is a pretty old record cutter trick. I didn't invent it. I'm not sure who did, but it was really fun to do in the early days. And for each of these, I would use a print shop in Olympia, Washington, where I used to live, and I did letterpress covers for each of them. And this is a really fun project. I would get out of school. I taught high school. I'd leave school. I'd go downtown to Community Print in Olympia, Washington, and set type and lay them out. Oh, here's another one. Also, I do a thing called Instant Merch Machine, and this was the first one, even though it wasn't called that at the time. But basically, I had bands come to my studio, record straight to the machines, and then they make covers. They decorate hand covers. We make 80 to 100, depending on how much time we have, and then they take half, I take half, and and they sell them as merch, and I sell them on my website. But the first one that I did this way was Amo Joy. They came to my house in Olympia, and then afterwards just kind of sat around and made a bunch of cool collages. This paper came from the trash. It was printer tests that a copy shop that I was getting copies made at was throwing away. And so it's really beautiful and has cool, weird test patterns. So I was like, hey, can I have that? And that's what I use for this. Upcycling, recycling, reusing things that were going to be thrown away is one of my big projects, one of the things that I really like to do. Here's another one. These were medical folders that I found in the trash. And we did a couple picnic plates on this. The band Golden Boots, silk screen and hand decorated each of them. On that same vein, here are Records Digest books. These were books back in the 40s through at least the 90s where they would condense 4 classic stories like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn or whatever, and give you like sort of the quick and dirty version of them, and there'd be 4 per book. But they always had these really nice textile covers, really beautiful, under the dust jacket. And I found a whole set of them, probably 100 of them, at a garage sale in Olympia for 25 cents each. So I bought the whole box, and I actually hand bound these. But since they're small and they was called Reader's Digest, I changed it to Records Digest. I foil embossed on the cover at Community Print again, and all of this is also stuff that was going to be trashed. All this paper came from real estate folders that were being thrown away. They have all of the bands recorded songs specifically for this, because at the time 2 minutes was the max on a 5-inch record. So there are 4 5-inch records, 4 different bands: Graves, Golden Boots, Southerly, and Turner Cody. And then in the back is a CD where I took the stems from all of the audio. I burned all of the songs to the CD, but then I made a weird sort of mega mix from the stems, and lathe cut the audio for that onto this disc. So this disc will play in your turntable and on your and in your CD player. And there's a little bolt or a nut in the back that you use to center that CD. Speaking of CDs, I did a whole series of CD records for Jeremiah Green of Modest Mouse, Mike Watt, American Monoxide, Jad Fair, Circulatory System, and these have one song that will play digitally, and the same song will play on your turntable on the B side, because the grooves read from the outside in, and the CD digital data reads from the inside out. Okay. Oh, here's a fun one. This is a Dale Crover drum cymbal. It's made out of brass. This was another collaboration with Joyful Noise Recordings in Indianapolis. Made to look like it is a cymbal, and we call it a bell-less ride. It's got a nice tink to it. They don't sound very good, as you would imagine, but they play, and you can tell that there's music there. Okay, here's another fun one. The Magic Mirror Split, which I don't know why they decided to call it the Magic Mirror Split, because there's nothing mirrored about it, but it's actually a cassette in between 2 lathe cut Eulerian circles that in a figure 8 shape. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Okay. So this is another collaboration with Amo Joy, who's one of my favorite artists to collaborate with. This is a reel-to-reel that will play on your turntable as well. So the same song in lathe format and in reel format. And then at the end of the tape, you get whatever's on there. Mormon Tabernacle Choir, Stevie Wonder, whatever was on the reel when I got it. And this is another one of those where trying to figure out what to do with trash and make it interesting led to the project. So all of these reels, when I bought a house here in Tucson, the place was just stacked with reel-to-reels. It was an audio hoarder's house, basically. So I was like, what can we do with it? I was talking to Adam. He's like, well, I could release a reel-to-reel. He's like, I can dub reels. And I was like, well, let's put a record on it. So we did. But here's an actual mirror. This is for the band Space Face from LA. And as you can see, it is an actual real mirror that has the song Bittersweet Symphony. It's a cover of the Verve song from the 90s. Okay. So this is again, this paper. I found it at a thrift store. Just a stack of it, really nice. It was blue on one side, silver on the other. And I got approached by some friends of mine in a band called This Frontier Needs Heroes. And they said, we have this song, 2012. And so I was like, let's make a pyramid-shaped record. So it's on semi-flexi, but these are really fun to make. This is a record I made for Brianna Morella, from who I knew in Olympia, but maybe she's in the Bay Area now. But it's a lenticular that, as it spins, it changes shades and colors. So it was intentionally made to work as it's spinning on a flat plane, as opposed to like left and right, which is how most lenticulars work. But it's very cool. Then these are records that I made in Olympia with a band called Meowton. like mountain, but meowton, get it? Anyway, they are splatter painted, and they're also foil engraved. And we did these out in my backyard. Okay, here's another record that I did for Space Face. It's a optical illusion record, and it comes with a 10-inch platter mat, so that if you have a dark platter mat, it doesn't. You're able to kind of see the thing as it spins. And I did, gold version. This is called the Chaos Theory version because as I was making it in my Cricut cutter, it started to slip, and it definitely didn't look like it was supposed to, but I had a bunch of these that were slipping, and so I ended up calling it the Chaos Theory version. They're actually the rarest ones. I think there's only 6 or 7 of them. Then there's a bunch of others that I'm going to get around to one of these days. We just haven't had the right project for them yet. Here is a gold-filled record. Made this one about 15 years ago. It's from Matt Hopper, and it's got gold foil, gold leaf in the middle of it. Okay, so I do a lot of die cutting on my Cricut cutter because I don't know, I just like doing it. And so a lot of times I'll die cut covers like this, and then my daughter and I will kind of do a psychedelic dip paint swirl that shows through it. Here's another die cut. These were made to look like photo slides, and this was for a project in Tucson for a band called the Cloud Walls, and it was a collaboration with Abril Castillo, who was a fantastic photographer around here that was killed in a car wreck, unfortunately. It was shortly after we did these, but each one of them is unique. Here is one I did for a band called Lucky Baby Daddy, which has Greg Saunier from Deerhoof, and all of the records were made on these weird star-shaped records. And this is again something that would be trash. This is the negative space between 12 inches when I get them CNC'd from the plastics place. So got enough room on here to fit about a 3-minute song, so I save them and use them occasionally, give them to new lathe cutters that are getting started. They're fun, but you can only do so many of them, I think. Here's another Tucson band called Truck Tears. This was spray painted, and I started off with the Cricut cutter, cut the lines, peeled off strategically, and spray painted, and then peeled off another layer and spray painted. Let's see. I did a similar thing for a band called Group Love, and these, you can see there's clear spots, so it was meant to look like a slice of moldy cheese. These were a lot of fun to make. Here's some stencil stuff that I've done. It's for Michael Now and Mr. Husband. It's a candle. Did some Christmas records for a band called Space Face. Had several different versions of the snowflake stencil and used different colors of spray paint. Here, let's see. I've done a lot of shaped records. The cover itself was made by Carl Blau. It was a freebie that I gave away to 10 of my best customers really early on. And Carl cut this and then hand sewed it and designed this whole thing. It's very cool. Here are some picture discs that I've done. These were prototypes for John Malkovich. He was publishing a coffee table book, and he was going to have picture discs inside of it, and he wanted some prototypes to see what it was going to look like. So the coffee table book, I believe, is of him recreating famous photos like Einstein, Hitler, Marilyn Monroe as seen by Warhol, Warhol as seen by Warhol, Mick Jagger. Here's a nice wooden box that I made for Mecca Wooden Wand. Each of these has six records. The box itself is really beautiful. My buddy Keith in Seattle did the carpentry. I did the design and the silk screening. Here are some animated records that I made for Coca-Cola Singapore. When you play these and look at them through your phone, it's a zoetrope effect. And let's see. Last but definitely not least, I did a record for The Residents, who are one of my all-time favorite bands, and I wanted to do something weird, because they're a weird band. And so we've got 3 singles. You got the inner of the eyeball, you got the middle of the eyeball, and you got the white of the eyeball. And there were several different colors, one for each member of the center of the eyeball, and they all snap together on your turntable to create one big record. But suppose that's it for now. So check out www.piaptk.com or michaeldixonvinylart.com if you want to see more. And you can reach out to me there. Thanks.